Well, we officially have an October surprise. We have a president. Audible gasps could be heard as Joe Biden shuffled his way into the White House press briefing room for the very first time in his presidency, nearly 4 years in. He even took some questions.
Hey, folks. My name's Joe Biden. Welcome to the swimming pool.
Florida Senator Marco Rubio described today's jobs report as having fake numbers. What do you make of that?
Do you have confidence that it will be a free and fair election and that it will be peaceful?
I'm confident it'll be free and fair. I don't know whether it'll be peaceful.
Can you talk about how your vice president, who is running for the presidency, has worked on these crises?
I'm in constant contact with her. She's aware we're singing from the same song sheet. She helped pass all the laws that are being employed now. She was a major player in everything we've done.
Well, it appears someone was reading Axios this morning. They had just called out Joe Biden for, quote, disappearing and pointing out that he has not held a public event in 43 of the 75 days since dropping his re-election bid. But unlike President Trump's marathon hour-long pressers, I remember them well, Joe Biden only spoke for less than 15 minutes, and his staff was repeatedly trying to give him the rap sign.
I gotta go, Kate.
I know. Please tell me I gotta go.
I said I'd take a couple questions.
All right, you're the last.
I think she's increasing her credibility with it.
You have to take some more. All right, guys, that's it. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, sir.
Do you want to reconsider dropping out of the race?
I'm back in.
Well, I am not shocked, but I'm certainly appalled, Jesse, that the White House press corps had 7 opportunities to ask questions. The first question was prompting Biden to attack Marco Rubio. The last question was prompting him to praise Kamala Harris. Not a single question on the second deadliest hurricane in the last 55 years.
Or the coup. That would have been my question. Or on Hunter. There's a lot of stuff you want to ask him, but they're almost treating him like they're feeling sorry for him. And he's feeling sorry for himself. There was a report that he was chagrined that Kamala wasn't giving him any credit and not mentioning the name Biden in any of her speeches anymore. Jill Biden isn't doing any campaigning. He's not really campaigning with her. And now they're bringing Barack out of retirement. So their numbers must be pretty bad if they're making Barack Obama, who's got a great life, work the campaign trail in the final stretch. And he's now cutting ads for Senate Democrats. So they're really trying to stop the bleeding. Joe Biden is a lame duck. So we're shocked when he pops up. And he wanted credit for the port strike resolution. And he couldn't let Kamala have it. Kamala was going on TV. Biden watched her wander on the TV. And he had to go out there and get credit because at this point, he's just worried about his legacy. And that's all he has left.
That's right. I mean, look, Greg, Jesse's right that Biden's a lame duck, but the problem is he's a lame duck before lame duck season. Lame duck season is after November 5th. He's a lame duck today. He woke up and read that he disappeared, and he said, not so fast.
It rhymes with duck. Look.
What word?
I don't know. Why did he take questions now? Because it doesn't matter. It's game over. It's like he's showing up after a war and say, hey, let's march. This has no bearing on him whatsoever. There's no risk involved when he's doing that. It's not like he's going to get hurt. Can't ask him about the hurricane. That's off limits because the last time somebody asked him about it, he said, what storm? Oh, everyone's really happy. So I think, they're being polite. We don't have to indulge this lie. He's not the president anymore. Any more than a wax figure of Michael Jackson at, Madame Tussauds is getting royalties for Thriller. This is the first time I've ever lived in a country on autopilot. People worry about self-driving cars, but right now we got a self-driving country and it's all over the road. I'm done.
I don't know if it was a dramatic pause, so I had to wait.
It was just what you call a pause. Plus, I got to pee.
Judge, there are a million questions that could have been asked.
You know, the question that I would have asked is, you know, you say they're still doing the pee thing. That's what happens with boys, okay? They get all excited about the pee.
2 cups of coffee.
All right. The truth is that the question I would have asked is, you know, you say you're all in for Israel defending herself. How about offensively? How are you going to help Israel? How are you going to help the Jewish students in this country who are afraid to go to class? Here we are in Rosh Hashanah. What are you doing about them? But forget about that. I agree with Jesse. Now, Biden was grumbling that Kamala wasn't mentioning him enough in speeches. She's in Michigan. She's about to go on the stage to take all the credit for the fact that the strike is kind of over until January. Joe Biden, out of the blue, says, I'm going out there, I'm going into that press room, and I'm going to address the press. I mean, this is so obvious to anyone who's looking, because the truth is, in the last 75 days, he hasn't been visible for 43 of the 75 days. And who ran the first cabinet meeting in 11 months? Jill did. I'm amazed. We haven't seen her in her outfits in a long time. But in the end, you would think that this man would want to secure a legacy. This is his moment. He can do anything he wants. And the fact that he's disappeared and so disengaged, and that he allowed Mayorkas to take away that money from Americans, he should be anywhere with his sleeves up fighting for Americans who've lost everything and have no hope. You and your team want to give them hope? Get your butts down there and give these people real hope.
Absolutely.
So there, Harold.
I mean, Harold, the single most important question he should have been asked is the governor of Georgia came out.
Yep.
And he said when there were emergency declarations, only 11 counties got them when 90 were in need. And the ones that didn't get them were rural counties, prompting the governor of Georgia to call the White House and saying, why are you giving aid to rural communities? Why are they neglecting rural communities?
I don't think they are. I think Governor Kemp, I also heard him thank President Biden. In the middle of a crisis, these kinds of crises, some things happen, it shouldn't happen, things happen, it should happen. I hope they get it all fixed. And in fact, I hope we fund FEMA the way we should fund FEMA. But let me get back. I have a slightly different opinion. I thought President Biden looked good today. I thought he sounded good. He was lighthearted when he needed to be lighthearted. He was serious when he needed to be serious. We have to remember, we had our hostages released from Russian custody, our own Evan. Paul Whelan was released as well. I thought President Biden was great that night on the tarmac. I thought Vice President Harris was not especially articulate that night, but he was fantastic. Two, the port strike is a serious thing. Had this thing persisted, he might have had to convene and he might have had to intervene and say, you guys go back to work. The fact they were able to get an agreement, and the judge is right, it's a temporary agreement. Right. They've called it off to be able to come together and figure out if they can get something done. Finally, I just think that when we talk about Israel, there are 12 naval assets in the region. We helped our pals, our allies, our greatest ally in the world, Israel, strike down many of those 181 missiles. We talk about it was just 12, but I think it might have been more than that. And it is clear that as much as we're not being offensive, we're certainly making that part of the world, our enemies in that part of the world, know that we're with our ally. Finally, did he come out to try to preempt Vice President Harris? Maybe. But the bottom line is he deserves a lot of credit, and she's going to be aligned with him anyway, so they both will get a little credit from it. But I'm sensitive to your point there about rural and urban. I hope they get that resolved.
Definitely. One thing he said was, we're singing from the same song sheet. He and Kamala Harris, she helped pass all of the laws. She was a major player in everything I did. I'm sure she was thrilled when he made that statement.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.